balanced, and somehow even more fun.
How did Nordica just raise the bar again?
Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
I'm Bob. How's it going?
We've got another 2025 preview video for you today. Bob, yesterday we chatted about the men's side, the Enforcer line, all new. Today we're looking at the women's Santa Ana. Really wish we could have Emily in this video. Feels pretty similar to when we did the Black Pearl video, except this time it would be even harder to have Emily because she's literally in Austria coaching like freeride junior worlds.
Yeah.
So, Emily, we miss you. Good luck to you and all your athletes. And before we get into it, Bob, I have shipped Emily a pair of Santa Ana 92s for some long-term testing out there in Aspen.
I think that's going to be a great fit.
Yeah. So pretty excited to get Emily's take on these skis. And if you recall, we recently chatted about that existing Santa Ana 98.
Right.
So I thought it would be really cool to have her kind of chat about that and then do some long-term testing on the 92. Obviously different widths, but she should have a really good perspective.
Some great Santa Ana feedback for sure.
Yep. And with that said, we'll get right into it. So I feel like we kind of glossed over this in the Enforcer video, but basically what has happened is they've taken the Santa Ana line and the Santa Ana Free line and just kind of mashed them together. And when we get to the shape conversation, we can point out how that has happened.
Yeah.
But kind of interesting, and I do think it makes sense rather than separating those two lines.
Well, it's more of a sliding scale now,
Correct.
as opposed to a hard break.
Correct.
Which, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Makes a lot of sense. And then when you bring in the Unleashed series of skis into the mix, it even makes more sense.
Yep.
Separating kind of the all mountain range from the freeride freestyle realm.
Yes. Yeah. So I think the Nordica line for 2025 just makes a lot of sense, and I think it's really easy for customers to understand what's going on.
Yep.
And then the other thing that I'll mention before we get into construction and shape and that stuff is similar to the men's side where the skis are now falling on 4s and 9s.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a Enforcer 89, 94, 99, 104. The Santa Ana skis fall on 7s and 2s. So we've got a Santa Ana 87. I don't know why this is funny, but it kind of is. So we've got a Santa Ana 87, Santa Ana 92, and then we've got 97 and 102.
Yeah, I mean, if we have any numerologists out there that care to weigh in on the numbering process, maybe there's something that we're not seeing.
I don't know. I kind of like the consistency, I suppose.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, I feel like it just kind of makes sense, and it also has kind of a nice ring to it.
Right.
Like, do you ski the 87 or the 97?
Yep.
I don't know. So, Bob, we talked at length about the construction changes with Enforcer. Do you want to do kind of a quick summary of construction and point out what's different with Santa Ana?
Yeah, and just to start it off, we've always really liked Santa Ana in general because it's like women's specific, but it's still very high performance.
Totally.
So like it's not like a different version of a men's ski or the same version of a men's ski. Like this is a different build, and it's even like a lot of these concepts have now moved into other skis in Nordica's line.
Yeah, before Unleashed, I used to be jealous of Santa Ana construction, and then I was really happy that, like, particularly the Unleashed 98 basically shares, like, in a lot of ways, the exact same construction as the ski that you're holding right now.
Yeah, and to go further with Nordica's other women's skis, like their Wild Bell 84, was the first one to have double core construction.
Yeah, now you see it in
and now you see it
Spitfire.
in Spitfire and all
Yeah.
sorts of other high-end skis. So
Yeah, a
like,
lot coming from the women's side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of a lot to do with Nordica and Santa Ana specifically. I mean, they're really, really good skis.
Yeah.
So-
you know, interestingly, we kind of saw that with Solomon too, like the stance.
Right.
Like the men's stance are now kind of like closer to what was originally the women's stance.
Yep.
So we're on to something.
Interesting stuff.
Very.
But yeah, we talked about this yesterday with the Enforcer. Some of the same things follow through, such as the sourcing of a new wood person.
Yep.
So different wood.
New wood supplier.
New wood supplier. You know, they're very excited about their new wood supplier. But we're still using a performance wood core, so it's the same style. So poplar and beech stringers, just a different supplier.
Yep.
And from what we felt with the Enforcers, there's certainly a different energy to it. So
Yeah, hard to credit that to the wood core or
Yeah.
the pulse core.
Right. So we get a couple more things. Pulse core is one of the ones that also kind of came from, we saw it last year come out with Steadfast and other skis that use the double core. So pulse core is an elastomer material, and that sits under the binding zone here, so extending a couple inches into the tips and tails.
Yep.
And really does a great job at just damping the vibrations and reducing that stuff and just
Yeah.
making it sound a little bit
A little,
more
little quieter. Yep.
and then with metal, this is one of the ones that kind of follows through from years past, and that's their use of terrain-specific metal. And we've talked about this with Unleashed. This is one of the technologies that has moved into Unleashed and really kind of made that ski stand out as being just having an extraordinary blend of turning capability, smoothness, dampness, and power.
Yeah.
So that's still going on here in Santa Ana, and it's basically a full length sheet of metal, full width until a certain point, at which point it goes in and just wood, and then full width underfoot, and then that process basically gets mirrored in the tail where there are cutouts on the sides, and then full metal through the tail.
Yep.
And really what they're able to do is to specifically design a ski for what its intended use. So the narrower skis just have more metal to them that gives it a little bit more on-trail precision,
Yeah.
power.
And our understanding is more metal as a percentage of the ski.
Yeah. And
Which
then,
is it's a tricky thing to wrap your mind around,
Yeah.
but I'm like 97% sure I'm correct.
so relatively to the width of the ski,
Correct. Yes.
you're getting more metal.
Essentially, this portion where it draws into the middle,
Yeah.
the metal is closer to the edge on the narrower skis. I
Yeah.
think maybe that's the best way to think about it.
Yeah, so when you do that, you're getting more precision and dampness in
Yep.
the totality.
Yep.
So that 87 is going to be more precise, while this new 102 is going to be a little bit more playful. And
Yep.
that's the concept there.
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for construction. We're not seeing a huge difference in weights from year to year, although, and we said this about Enforcer as well, they feel lighter. You know, like
Yeah, I think it's that energy.
I think that's fair to say that they feel lighter.
Yeah.
So even though the grams might not line up to say this one's lighter
Sure.
than that one, I think that there's certainly a feeling of lightness with these.
Yeah, lightness and quickness
Yeah.
and like snap.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Flex.
Yeah.
With the Enforcers, we found that the flex hadn't changed drastically. If anything, maybe got a little bit stiffer. I would say the same is largely true with Santa Ana here.
Yeah, I agree.
And it is like, these skis it's really cool. I like how they do that. You know, Enforcers have 2 full sheets of metal, and these have a singular terrain-specific metal. So there's less than half as much metal.
Yeah.
So significantly lighter. Getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but they all come in 179.
Yep.
And I'm really excited to ski many of these skis in 179.
Yeah.
I
If
understand
we
that
can
I'm not
find this in a
maybe like the
179.
ideal target market, but I know plenty of men that ski on quote unquote women's skis. So I'm really excited to get to feel the difference.
Yeah, no, I am too.
And then moving along to shape. So to start, obviously we have new widths. So not like a major departure there, just kind of different numbers on them. And then I was saying that they kind of mashed the Santa Ana and the Santa Ana Free collection together. And like, this is also something that maybe we could have explained better with Enforcer, but I think people got it. I think people understand. Basically, there's more tail rocker in the 87, 92, and 97 compared to the skis that they are replacing. And then there's less tail rocker in the Santa Ana 102.
Yeah.
As well as we've found slightly less tip rocker throughout the collection.
Yeah.
So we can probably like do some comparisons as we go through each model, Bob, but you know, this is a Santa Ana 92, and that's considerably more splay.
Yeah.
Kind of twice as much splay as we saw from a Santa Ana 93. So I think that's really cool. We both really enjoyed that, testing the Enforcer line, and it certainly seemed like Megan enjoyed it, testing all these Santa Anas, which you'll get to see later in this video. For somebody who's less than a year out from ACL reconstruction, she's skiing pretty well.
Yeah, she makes him turn pretty quickly.
Which I say with a sense of pride. Also, mount point.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of key for these skis, and it happened on the Enforcers too, is with the increase in tail rocker, again, on these narrower 3, it moved the camber profile forward. And, you know, in theory, it kind of did on the 102 as well by reducing the length of tip rocker.
Yep.
So because of that, they've shifted the mount point 1 centimeter forward, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and when combined with these other attributes, you know, and we kind of touched on this yesterday as well, like all of these things add up to that certain effect of, whoa, this thing is livelier, more precise, still has the same power.
Yep.
You know, because they're not reducing the build. So it's not like there's less strength.
Yep.
But they're moving and shifting things around in a very appropriate way that I found.
Yeah, I mean, in skiing the Enforcers and in watching Megan ski all these Santa Anas, they just look like a little bit more intuitive now. The way that they initiate a turn is just like, it's a little bit easier, and then like you know, anytime something's easier on skis, you gain so much confidence as a skier that you start to like just subconsciously ski better. Yep. And I think that's like a big effect. You know, like we said, like all these things are subtle changes, but when you add them all up, it does create a different skiing experience. Yep. Yeah. So before we get into each ski, I certainly want to preface this with, this is not intended to be a review. I have not skied any of these skis. This is more looking forward, kind of getting excited about what these things can benefit, and you'll all get to watch Megan put them to the use while we have these conversations. So starting here with the Santa Ana 87, I've always thought that like the Santa Ana 88 and now the 87 is an interesting conversation, because that Enforcer 88, it's really like squarely in a class of skis with 2 sheets of metal. Kendo's, Stance, Brahma, now Anomaly. Yeah. You know, there's a lot in that category. And the Santa Ana 88 and now 87 has always felt like a more approachable and like honestly slightly more versatile all-mountain ski. And I feel like by adding in some tail rocker in it, they've taken that even further.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is going to be a really big upgrade, I think, for skiers that just found that 88 to be a little bit too rough.
Yes, I agree.
And we always, when we're doing comparisons, you know, that 88 is always to the demanding side of the wall. And this 87 will be too.
It'll still be,
but it definitely, there's a little bit of a shift. So it's just easier to turn. You get a little bit more playfulness out of it. And I think it's just going to open up that range just slightly. Yeah. You know, we're not, this isn't taking beginners into account. You know, we're still like,
no, I don't think so.
We're starting with someone with skills.
Yes.
And moving up from there.
Yep.
But the ceiling is very similar to that of the 88. This is not like a watered down 88 at all.
No, it's just refined.
Yeah.
And a little bit more dynamic, I think. Megan skied this one in the 161 that we have here, and it was, you know, you could tell it was just lightning quick.
Yeah.
And I think like There's going to be an interesting break, I think, from 161 to 167. I think like those will ultimately probably be kind of the popular lengths, although we do have a 155 as well.
Yeah.
Could see a lot of women choosing 155, but it feels to me like there's going to be a bit of a break between 161 and 167, because Megan definitely noticed a difference dropping from 167 in these to a 161 here, just a little bit less stability. And I think like obviously it's going to be less stable, but I think it's going to be a fairly pronounced difference, I think.
Yeah, but definitely skiers that find themselves in bumps and trees and other tight zones, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, then they're going to get along with it much more easily, say, than on the outgoing 88. If you want to put those together and flip it over, I'd love to just take a quick look at the tail rocker before we move on here. So, this ski has tail rocker,
Yep.
but certainly less splay.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, it's like looking at it visually and on paper, it doesn't seem like a big difference, but I think the result, the on-snow result is more significant.
Yeah, and again, to reiterate, pushing that mount point forward about a centimeter also just makes it feel like you're getting more power out of the tail without it being too catchy.
Yeah.
Which is
No, I think so.
a slick move.
It is. No, I think like the redesign here is really cool, and I always really enjoy when subtle changes create a big difference.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the 92, the story is largely the same. Again, like as we progress through these skis, they get wider, more soft snow oriented, and then less metal as a percentage of the whole ski. I really enjoy saying that, and again, I'm pretty darn sure I'm correct, but it was pretty cool. Pretty cool seeing Megan kind of bop around through some bumps and stuff on this ski.
Yeah.
And you can tell, from 87 to 92, you're definitely boosting the, I don't want to say the all mountain appropriateness, but the like 50-50 on-piste, off-piste. And again, like I know I said this already, but I'm really excited to see what Emily is going to do with this ski in Aspen. Because I think when most people think about skiing in Aspen, their mind probably goes more towards a wider ski, something over there. But as we've found over the years, these narrower all-mountain skis can do really, really well in a variety of snow conditions.
Yeah, and 92 is a great place to be. We talk about this mid-90s zone as being extremely useful and versatile for all sorts of different stuff.
Yep.
And now just adding a slight tail rocker to it and getting it a little bit more friendly and fun, I think that's going to really boost the overall attractiveness of this ski.
Yes, I agree 100%. And it's interesting because, I feel like this ski was always pretty manageable.
Yeah.
Like something about staying a bit narrower there and I don't know. I found like no one really had trouble with the Santa Ana 93. So maybe this isn't solving as much of a problem as some of the other skis are. I think it's just kind of making it more dynamic.
Yeah.
I feel like the next ski, Bob.
Right.
That the Santa Ana 97, and we talked about this on the men's side. The Santa Ana 97 compared to the Santa Ana 98, I feel like we're really talking about different skis here.
I think this is probably the biggest gap.
I agree.
Could probably make an argument for the 102, but I think that skiers that were borderline 98s are going to be fully locked in to the 97.
Yeah, and I think if you have demoed or tried a Santa Ana 98 in the past and you found it to be too much, I think it is 100% worth revisiting it in this 97 with the increased tail rocker. You skied the Enforcer 99 this morning, and that is a different ski than the Enforcer 100. And the same changes apply here, and this is going to be a different ski. Anytime you watch Emily ski or listen to Emily talk about a ski, you have to remember her skill and her strength. And she can do things on that Santa Ana 98 that thoroughly impressed me. And maybe watching her ski it you'd think like that's a really easygoing
Right.
soft snow ski, but it's not. Like
Yeah.
the tail is pretty stiff on that ski, and it can be a lot. And it's one of those things. And we had this kind of same conversation with Enforcer. Is like when we're getting up towards 100, if the highlight of a ski is its carving performance, I don't necessarily know that that's the right place to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like you could kind of say that about the Santa Ana 98, with the exception being really, really talented skiers like Emily.
Yeah, but not for most.
No, I agree. And
Yeah.
I feel like this 97 is just going to open it up to a much bigger audience, and like for the existing audience, just be a little bit more fun.
Yeah. Are you worried that a Santa Ana 98 skier is going to be slightly disappointed with the 97?
Not really.
I'm thinking about like Niffer, who skied with us a few years ago, and I remember her skiing this 98 like it was her collegiate race ski, and
I
just
mean-
being blown away. Like, is someone like her who used that as that high power carving ski going to be slightly disappointed?
That's a great question, and I feel like it's one that I can't necessarily answer.
Yeah.
But certainly my impression, especially after watching Megan ski it, is that it doesn't lack any carving performance.
Yeah.
And that's certainly how I feel when I ski the Enforcer 99, which essentially, it's the same, at least
Same
a
difference.
similar conversation. So, no, and I think it's another one of those things where if there are people that are disappointed, the people that find more benefit from it vastly outweigh the people that would be disappointed.
Yeah.
And then like there are other skis.
Yeah, that's
know, like,
the ticket right there.
Vocal's always going to make I mean, maybe not always, but certainly seems like the Secret 96
Yeah.
isn't going away, or like that whole theme and concept isn't going away. And that's actually, this is a unintentional great segue. Megan owns a Santa Ana 96.
A Secret 96?
Sorry, yes, a Secret 96. Thank you for correcting me. And, she even said some things like, this ski is more fun,
Yeah.
and like it's like easier to ski, but still lets her ski the way
Right.
that she wants to ski.
Yeah.
So if you're even further along that spectrum of like carving, like race background, super powerful, strong skier, if you are disappointed, there's a direction you can go,
Yeah.
and I think that's cool.
I just know a lot of former racers that loved this Santa Ana 98 and could ski it extremely well and capably.
Well, you know what we got to do?
No?
Oh, okay. We should just give Niffer a call.
Right? I'll probably see her soon at the hockey rink.
Like if
I'll let her
I
know.
think, because I think you're spot on. I think
Yeah.
she's a really good example, and I think like let's get it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. All right. We'll get her over here.
Let's do it.
Okay.
And then this 102 is kind of an interesting conversation, because with the narrower skis, we've really talked about unlocking the tail, having them be a little bit more playful, having them be easier to ski. And in a lot of ways, that conversation is the opposite with
Yeah.
this ski. So here, why don't you
I'll do the
put
other
the
102,
the current 104?
104, sorry.
Also, like the perception of 102 to
Yeah.
104, I feel like that's a pretty big contrast. So both longer rocker and more splay in that Santa
In this
Ana
one,
104.
104, yep.
Yeah, to the point where I've never shied away from calling that thing basically a twin tip.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for companies like Nordica to kind of reassess these things, and how many people were benefiting from that much splay in the tail of that ski.
Right. And what's the performance benefit for going flatter overall in this 102? And like kind of answering those questions and being like, well, people are using this for higher speed,
Yeah.
slightly straighter turns, mostly in a directional format, and that's where they're seeing those big benefits come through.
Totally. Yeah. So I think I don't know, just looking at the comments in the Enforcer video from yesterday, I feel like this maybe is the ski that's going to ruffle the most feathers.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't necessarily know if it's going to do that as much on the women's side. I feel like there are probably fewer women skiers who will be upset to see the exit of a more twin tip E shape.
Yeah.
And there's still like a lot of tail rocker in
There's
this
plenty
ski.
of- yeah,
it's not
plenty
like
of
you're
tail
like
rocker.
locked in. It's not
Right.
a wholesale change from a directional skiing perspective.
Yeah.
It's really just like the switch skiing and kind of freestyle influence that did exist in that 104.
Right, and that's why Unleashed 98 and 108 exist.
Right.
And just to provide a bigger gap, a bigger difference between wider skis in certain categories.
Yeah. I couldn't help but think that this just looked like such a good soft snow ski for Megan.
Yeah. Like
Like
a little bit lighter, but still powerful.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely.
Like sturdy and trustworthy,
Mm-hmm.
but still playful and like pretty dynamic and works well
Yeah.
in softer snow. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, that's it. I don't really want to say too much more because I want to wait to get Emily on these things. I want to hear from Niffer. I want to hear from all the talented female skiers that we ski with.
Yeah, and I want to get on a pair of these and these in a 179.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll have them.
Nordica, there's an on-snow demo next week. Could you please bring some Santa Anas in a 179? Who should I speak directly to? Joe?
I don't know.
Joe? Can you bring some 179 Santa Anas? They might not like be
Might not
mounted.
exist
They might
in
not
America
be
right
mounted
now.
for demo.
Yeah.
But even if that has to wait until next year, I think that'll be really fun.
Yeah, I think there's potential there for sure.
Yeah. So, I never want to like beat around the bush on this stuff. I apologize that you have to hear about a new line of women's skis from a couple of dudes.
Couple of dudes. Oh well.
Yeah, but hopefully we explain things well. Definitely keep an eye out for. It'll first be that 92 review from Emily out in Aspen. Really excited to see that. So we'll try and get that out to you within a couple weeks, maybe a month at the most, and then we'll absolutely follow up with more and more of these.
Yeah, certainly worthy of deeper dives.
Yeah. In the meantime, if you have any questions, let me know. If you're curious more about what Megan thought, I can't guarantee that I'll get an answer, but I know where to find her.
Yeah. We'll
So,
figure something out.
Yeah, don't hesitate to leave a question or comment, and we will try and get back to you as soon as we can. And yeah, exciting new stuff.
Yep.
So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.